The war that we're having right now, it looks like it's Iran, but it's really the war against this city of London. Now, if you're not familiar with that, I don't mean London, like what you normally think of as London, but the 1 mile square inside inside London, it's called the City of London. And this is where the head of this criminal cartel is right there in the City of London. And so even when we actually went there, I don't know, about a year ago, and when you enter into this City of London, they literally have placards up all around and showing basically that it's it's like demonic. Anyway, but it's ultra extremely wealthy. $4 out of every $10 of corrupt money goes through there. And that's really what this is about, is controlling the petrodollar that has run the world in a nutshell. And how is President Trump ending that? He's destroying their empire right now. That they've controlled the world markets, specifically with the petrodollar, for many, many years. President Trump is resetting the way that we do business. And so we're going to talk about that. And through the insurance, through the sanctions, and through these conflict speculators. They're continually having conflict over there, and they make lots of money doing that. I'm going to talk about that. Also, that President Trump said it. He said England is our former ally. What was he meaning by that? And a lot of people thought, oh, he's mad at Starmer. No, he's talking straight to the criminal cabal. That's exactly what we need to be able to see through, what maybe the media says, and even really read what President Trump is saying, because the globalists really do know that he is destroying their empire. And so he said, we don't need them anymore. We don't need this criminal cartel running the world anymore, right? And also, what's going on with this Karg Island, and also, you know, he's not destroying the oil, but he's destroying their mine capabilities. I'm going to talk about that now. Also with Netanyahu, he's alive. It's all over the internet that he's dead. He's not dead. He's alive. And so he is chomping at the bit to control Iran. We know that he can taste it. He can just like see that and just have his hand right out there. He's been wanting to do this for so long, so he can control all of the Middle East. He even had a video that he put out this week that he's going to be this global power. The man is so full of himself. It's hard to even describe how full of himself he is. But this is a huge sting operation on him, as well as the City of London bankers. So, which they're basically one and the same. All right. So, this is where President Trump is talking about the one of the ways that where he's removing power from this criminal cartel, the City of London, and that is through these oil sanctions. I'm going to let you listen to what he has to say, and then I'm going to show you what he did with Putin, because we've already been told on the board long ago that Putin and Xi are working with President Trump to end this criminal cartel that's had a stranglehold on the world. Check this out.
Certain oil-related sanctions to reduce prices. So we have sanctions on some countries. We're going to take those sanctions off till this straightens out. Then who knows, maybe we won't have to put them on. There'll be so much peace. But when the time comes, the U.S. Navy and its partners will escort tankers through the strait if needed. I hope it's not going to be needed, but if it's needed, we'll escort them right through.
About a year ago, President Trump went to Alaska and he met with Putin. And they set up at that point to have oil sitting literally in tankers, ready to go when the time would come. That tells you right there, they're working together. And so right now, there's an embargo on the oil coming out of Iran because of this war. And it's not really Iran. It's because the Iranian people clearly were not getting the money. This was all going to the City of London, right? And Khomeini, all of them have been their puppets. And so the information has come out that, all their investments are going through the City of London and through their offshore banks in St. Kitts and different places. So the oil is not coming out of Iran. They're shutting that off, and it's not going to China. So or the sanctions are lifted on Russia so that now they can send their oil that is needed in China from Russia. It's from starting March 11th through April 12th is like a 1 month lifting of the sanctions. And, a lot of people can say, oh, well, that makes perfectly good sense because right now, everyone wants to make sure that the oil prices are not skyrocketing because of the supply and demand. And so they're not really, I haven't watch the mainstream news that much, but I don't think they're screaming about these sanctions being lifted, quote, temporarily. But as he said here, well, maybe there'll be so much peace that we won't have to continue these sanctions anymore. So that right there tells you this. And I think it's very easy to see that President Trump and Putin and Xi are all working together. I'm sure that in their conversations that they've had previously, they're saying, "Hey, don't worry, G. We're going to make sure that when we go in and shut down this Iranian regime that is the arm of the globalist bankers, that you'll have your oil that you need from Russia." So that was Russia was everybody's on board on how they were going to do this. So I wanted you to see that it's really a huge piece of resetting the markets because they've always controlled the petrodollar with all this conflict and all this sanctions and all the insurance. We're talking about the insurance too. All these things that they've done to control it. And really, Peter Navarro had a report that he was saying that it's added trillions of dollars in cost to each of the countries because they've been able to raise the price of the oil much higher than it should have been. It'll probably go down to like 60 something dollars per barrel. It's really going to be very, very inexpensive. I hate that because what they do is they love to inflate the prices and cause all this conflict so that little people, everything costs more and the little people take it on the chin, right? That's what they do. They don't. This is what's so maddening is they don't need the money. They just want us to suffer. And this is how you know that they are run by demons. They are filled with demons because they want everyone in the world to suffer. So anyway, this is a one big piece of this gigantic puzzle. The other thing is, okay, so removing the sanctions and all these conflict speculators. These speculators in the city of London, they jack the price of the oil up. They continually jack it up, and so they have to keep all this conflict going so that they can say, oh, because of the dangers that we may not be able to get oil out of here. So, and you already know about this, is that President Trump um, when Lloyd's of London came out and said that they were not going to insure the tankers going through the Strait of Hormuz, that was intentionally to try to jack up the price of oil to destroy President Trump. That's what it's always about, is trying to stop him. And it didn't work. It didn't work. So really, very, very exciting team. Patriots in control, as President Trump had on that white hat yesterday. He's in control. He's playing for this. He knows exactly all the pieces on the chessboard. He's got Xi is working with him. Uh, Putin is working with him, and even now they're saying we're going to insure these through the U.S. government. We don't need Lloyd's of London, which they think they're the Lords of London. We don't need the Lords of London anymore, as he said. So this is very, very good news. Okay, so here is an island of Iran called Karg Island. And this is where a lot of the oil refineries are right there on this island, as well as military installations. Now, President Trump just said, they bombed this island, but they did not bomb the oil. They bombed the the military installations. What were the military installations for? To send out mines into the Strait of Hormuz. And so I posted the other day that I think they had some mines in there, and that's people were the ship masters were afraid to go through there. But now they've gotten those all removed, and because President Trump attacked the military installations in Karg, they can no longer lay their mines in the Strait of Hormuz. So now two tankers have come through and they were absolutely fine. So everybody realizes, hey, don't worry, you can come on through. Now, It will be interesting to watch and see over the next few days what happens with if they follow their masters, City of London, or if they really do get the shipping going again. Now, the ships that are coming from Russia are, you don't have to worry about those going through the Straits of Hormuz. So what's going to happen is they're going to realize, you know what? Russia's going to control the entire market if we don't watch out, and so we can't we can't just sit idly by and let them control the entire oil market. So they're completely outside of this thing. They've always kept this in a tight, controlled situation. So it's all right here in this. Everything in the whole world has to go through this Strait of Hormuz, and so they've been able to control it. The City of London has been able to control it, but no. And also, President Trump is controlling, and with white hats in Venezuela, the oil coming out of Venezuela. So their whole plan of this has broken down. So this island was specifically bombed to prevent them from being able to mine the Straits of Hormuz. I want to make sure that you have that information. I promised you I would find this about Putin and Xi and President Trump all working together. And it's actually post 140. What is the New World Order? Did POTUS receive a sword dance when visiting Saudi Arabia? I'm going to go into what that means. But what does this mean culturally? They showed him unbelievable respect. Same thing when President Trump went to the Forbidden City in China. Why is this relevant? What occurred in Saudi Arabia? Did POTUS remove one side of the pyramid? There are only two sides left of the pyramid, and that's what he's bringing down right now. What did POTUS receive while visiting China? Where did POTUS dine? Of course, in the Forbidden City. What is the significance? What if China, Russia, and others are coordinating with POTUS to eliminate the New World Order? Boom. Boom. That's exactly what is happening right now. They've been waiting, and everybody thought, oh, Iran thought surely China and Russia are going to come to our aid and come to protect us, and then there'll be World War 15. They thought it was going to be the end of the world, nuclear holocaust from this, because they thought China and Russia would jump in with their military and start this huge conflict. Not doing that. We're not doing that. What we are doing is we are stabilizing the global trade of fuel, of oil, as well as other natural resources. But let's just keep it simple. Let's just talk about the petrodollar. This is happening right now. We are not having the nuclear holocaust. We're having the war to end all wars, taking down this terrible conflict-driven City of London regime. President Trump, we said, we don't need you guys anymore. We do not need you anymore. What if China, Russia, and others are coordinating with POTUS to eliminate the New World Order? There you go. That is what is happening. This cardboard cutout really is what they were pretending that, okay, he's out here. Since he's not able to come out, we're going to have his cardboard cutout. It's you cannot make this stuff up. But yeah, there's word on the street that he's dead. There's word on the street that he's in a coma. Anyway, whatever it is, he is not well enough to come out and speak. And so whether he's in a coma or whether he's in, they say he's lost a leg, either way, the point is nobody's going to want to be the supreme leader because it doesn't fare well for you for very long. We do that. All right, so here's the deal with him. He has major ties to the City of London, as his father did. This is the whole point, that they're set up by the City of London. The son of Iran's supreme leader, Ali Khamenei, Mujtaba Khamenei, has investment properties in London. He was just selected as the new supreme leader. This was a couple of days ago, of Iran. Khamenei family has property empire in London. Wealth is not registered in Tehran. They're registered in the Isle of Man and St. Kitts, which is a Commonwealth realm in the Caribbean that recognizes King Charles as the head of state. Both places are connected to the City of London. All the Khomeini money goes back to the City of London. The royal family also had off-the-books money flows with Saudi Arabia arms deals that could be traced back to 9/11. That's why President Trump went to Saudi Arabia in his first term to tell them to stop financing Islamic terrorism. Remember when he went to Saudi Arabia and he had the sword dance and all of that, that's when President Trump said, "Look, we are going to take down this entire criminal network, and so please do not do anything to help them." And so they have been right on President Trump's side ever since. So Britain has been financing Islamic terrorism for decades. Iran is London's business model. Again, how they run this whole petrodollar with conflict and controlling the insurance and controlling the Strait of Hormuz and controlling all of the OPEC countries. Now, do you understand why Starmer and the King stands with Muslims and the Islamic regime? This is part of their. It's worked like a charm for the control construct. All roads lead to London, the city of London, and we are watching the collapse of the old guard in real time. As President Trump said, we do not need them anymore.